Thank you for settling down, ladies and gentlemen. I would now like to invite Mr. Mohammad Aslam Ukeli, Vice Chairman, and Mr. Imran Nazir, Faculty Member, Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, to start off our first technical session titled Technical and Economic Aspects of C2G and C2L Conversion. Thank you very much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. At the outset, I want to thank Government of Pakistan, Ministry of Petroleum and Gas Division, who invited us for this stakeholder workshop. I will be just briefly talking about this aspect of coal to gas conversion and coal to liquid conversion. In fact, we some 10 years back, one of our experts, Dr. Abdul Ghani Pathan, he is known to be the best person available for coal mining. Since Mehran University is engineering technology, we started coal mining department in fact in 1981, and our chemical department is working from 1974. And I was just sharing Nadeem Babar Saab that we have wrote a letter at that time that this underground coal gasification will not be a viable option. In fact, surface coal gasification is the better option. And during that time, we were lucky that we got some funding from British Council and Higher Education Commission. And two of our faculty members, one went to Turkey, who were actually there to study this coal modeling. And because when I was a student in Leeds way back in 90s, one of the classical example of being quoted as the policy implementation and planning by the World Bank is the Lakra coal for the government of Pakistan, where they have exclusively mentioned that when the Lakra mines were discovered, they were planning to develop a power plant of 1,000 megawatt, but later on with different feasibilities works, and then they say that you don't have this the technology, and technology will create this pollution, so you better go for the other viable option. In the end, they went 150 megawatt power plant, 3 units of 50 megawatt with coal fluidized bed combustion. And in that study, it is written that, interestingly, the coal mining were not yet developed to provide the required coal to that. And this is a classical example quoted in the World Bank for the implementation. So I think we need to build the policies, and I really impressed from Nadeem Babar, who very rightly said that we build the policies which are implementable, which are actually very crystal clear. We may take some more time, but once the policy will be there, then we'll be able to use it effectively. And so coal gasification, coal liquid conversion is way back technologically mature. What we did actually, we developed this prototype model for entrance flow gasifier, which is the required technology for converting coal to the gas. And Dr. Imran, who actually built this technology for the indigenous lignite coal, because the specification of the coal in Thar is slightly changed. So you have to modify the design parameters of this gasifier, and he demonstrated, and his work is well published. Recently we got some grant from the government of Sindh, and he is developing this small power this prototype. Instead of his prototype, we thought that we should produce a MEP, minimum viable product, so that we can demonstrate that it can be commercialized. So a couple of months back, Ms. Naid Memon came along with Chinese consortium, and they have shown this interest of converting. So again, the technology is mature, technology can be used, and if it has been used indigenously, naturally the cost will come down on the technology development also. So we need the support from all the stakeholders to use this, because ultimately Babar Saab has very rightly pointed out that coal utilization is reducing historically. I mean, its usage for the electricity power production was more than 60-70% to begin with, but now it is around 40% or 35%, and it will continue to reduce. So we need to think about some diversification of the coal usage. We have wonderful coal reserve. We have so much coal available. We need to use it directly, converting coal into gas and coal into liquid. And then without converting into the electricity, we use it for the fertilizer, we use it for the chemical product and the other industries. And now I will ask Dr. Imran Nazir to continue the technical aspect of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This is Imran Nazir. I have recently accomplished my PhD study in coal gasification particularly. So, next slide. Next. Okay. Because of the time shortage, I will go through only few slides. This is usually think about coal, that coal can only produce energy some few decades ago, but in last 10 years or 15 years, it has been seen that coal cannot be used only for energy, but can produce some other important chemicals which are also important for our daily life. You can see that there are two routes to produce those chemicals. One is via gasification, another route is directly for few of them. Actually, if you talk about coal to liquids, then you must go through gasification for producing some important chemicals. Next slide, please. Okay, now very briefly, coal gasification. People around us are usually thinking that gasification is just a technology that you put some solid fuel in a bucket or in a chamber or in a device, and it will automatically gasify it. And few persons are also thinking, even in a technological stream, that this gas is a natural gas. But now it is very obvious that you all are very well known that gasification of coal means to produce synth gas. Now synth gas has its own problems and association. Coal gasification is very much specific to the feedstock. Now the feedstock abroad has very much studied about its gasification characteristics, but the indigenous coal, that is Pakistani coal, particularly lignite, and we are talking about the third lignite, no one has studied that how it could be gasified. So in gasification, basically two reactions are very much important, which are endothermic, and if we are not considering those reactions, then we cannot able to produce the gas, and we must study this coal for specific for the gasification. Coal first converted into char and the what you call it, volatiles, and then that char could be converted into CO and H2, which is called syngas. Next slide. Okay, when we are talking about gasification, then basically there are two classes or classifications. One is surface gasification. Surface gasification is available in the world, but still it in testing steps because it has lots of issues. Even we tried this in the third, but everyone has seen that it has several issues. Surface gasification is a proven gasification technology, and there are lots of available devices and available companies who actually develop this surface gasification technologies. Basically, surface gasifiers are of three kinds. These two, moving bed and fluidized bed gasifiers, have gone through, have passed their ages. Nowadays, we are talking about the entrained flow gasifier, which has more efficiency, and they have also the flexibility of the coal, flexibility of the feedstock. Next slide. Sorry. Okay, this is working now. Okay, so these are few pictures of developed gasifier technologies of entrained flow, and the prominent one is a multi-opposite burner gasifier, which we have developed in our university for Tharkol. Now this is a little statistic about the gasification systems in the world. You are watching that about 1870 gasifiers have been produced yet, and almost 370 gigawatt thermal energy has produced or is being produced from the syngas. Again, these are some statistical pictures about the world, that how much gasification capacity in the world, and how gasification by region. Asia is the topmost region where gasification technology is available, only because of the China portion. Okay. These are the gasification by technology. Lots of technologies available, as I have shown you the pictures, among which GE technology is mostly available everywhere, and it is the most efficient one. Now, when we are talking about coal to liquids, then this is a combination of two things. One is coal to gasification, so that's why gasification is more important. And then after getting the syngas, we can convert this syngas by some Fischer-Tropsch reactions to any type of liquid. Okay, when we are talking about coal to liquids, then important things are transport fuels like synthetic diesels and other things. Okay, so there are two types of technologies. One is a direct coal conversion, another is the indirect coal conversion. So you are watching a proven pathway of converting coal into these type of liquid like propane, diesel, and other things. And this is an indirect way. And indirect way is more successful. It has seen in research that first you convert coal into gas, and then you can utilize gas to convert it in usable liquids like diesel and gasoline. These are some technologies which has been installed in China regarding coal to liquids. So another important chemical is methanol. You are watching the proven pathway of converting coal into a methanol. Methanol is important to produce several other things. Even methanol itself is an important chemical in terms of energy. And this economics is saying that when you convert coal into methanol, then you can have this much amount of 12 dollars per barrel. Okay, now because syngas is a carbon monoxide and hydrogen, this cannot be transported in a usual natural gas transmission lines. Natural gas is its own composition which has a major portion of methane. So we can convert also this syngas into synthetic natural gas, which is SNG. Because we are depleting our gas reserves as well, so in the future we need this natural gas synthetically being produced from coal, and this is also a pathway. And the table shows that this type of technologies are already working in other countries like China. This is one case study done by you in Taiwan in 2015. It says that cost of the SNG is somewhere $14.4 per MMBTU, and if you import LNG, which is the replacement of natural gas, it could cost 15 to 18, which is more as compared to the syngas produced from coal, synthetic natural gas produced from coal. Then other important aspect chemical is coal to olefin. Olefin is the general name of several components like butadiene, butylene, propylene, and you are watching that we can also produce this coal into olefin, and this is up till 2012 the world capacity of producing coal olefin is 220. Okay, so this is technical limitation of CTO, coal to olefins processes. Basically, there could be several issues, but I have highlighted few of them. One is it has less conversion efficiency, 36%. But with the help of latest or modern technologies, we can improve it, and there is a room for improvement of this. And other thing is a huge amount of water, fresh water is required. But also this issue can be addressed by some research in this particular field, and other thing is which is producing more CO2 as compared to the normal olefin production from the petroleum products. This is one economic aspect. Red line shows on the right side. Red line shows that this is the cost of olefin you can produce from coal. And the black line shows that this is a coal olefin from the normal oil, that is crude oil. So it is much higher, if you can see. This ethylene glycol and again monoethylene glycol, which is again the byproduct of this ethylene glycol, are two important other chemicals which can be produced from this coal. MEG or monoethylene chemical is considered an important commercially available ethylene glycol, accounting for about 90% of the global production. And if we can go with this route, then we can produce a huge amount of foreign exchange. So according to this research, NextGen 2000, a migration for conventional ethylene-based production to coal-based production could potentially lead to a shift in the global MEG market. This is one economical aspect, that how much coal share, coal is converted into ethylene from which source, and you are watching some pinkish box which is increased with the passage of year. And these pictures are showing this production of MEG through coal, and its contribution and some economical aspects. Okay, this is a general consideration points that when non-fuel usage of coal are primarily dependent on factors, these factors. Non-fuel usage means if we are not use coal in terms of energy, or we are interested to produce some chemicals. First one is the price on availability of alternate feedstock, that is oil and gas, advances in environmental potential technologies, and advances in gasification technologies. You are watching that from crude-based things like crude or natural gas, this the price is going, if the price of wheat is increasing, the price of this production is increasing. But red line shows the price of coal-based feedstock. So price is increasing, but price of the derivatives is decreasing. I am just skipping these slides because of the time constraints. This is a summary of general economics. That in summary, the coal-based chemicals industry is capital intensive and dependent on not only on the economics of scale, but also availability of large amounts of coal and water. Forecast capital cost per unit capacity is shown in this figure. You are watching that coal to natural gas has a huge amount of dollars, amount of money. And then second one is the coal to olefins. Similarly, you can have this much cost, but the coal-based chemical industry continues to grow. However, one can be paid to appropriate use of resources to achieve the economic benefits whilst processing the environment. Definitely, we want to create new chemicals, but we want to save our environment as well. Okay, these are the concluding points. I will not read all the points, but will give you one idea that the reddish text says that if you want to convert coal to chemicals, then you need to see these important aspects, that structural complexity of the coal, processing difficulties, presence of many components in organic matrix, inorganic impurities, capital investment, processing cost, and environmental impacts. These are the main points which must be considered to shift from coal to energy to coal to chemical scenario. And other important line which has written in this research, which I have highlighted in the red mark, that Pakistan has massive low-grade coal deposit, but the government is showing little coherence regarding its exploration and consequently deposit considerable international interest. Initially, there is a minimal positive activity. This is not my conclusion, but there is a conclusion which is written in this research. So these are the references which I have done, used to create this presentation. And conclusively, we have enough potential, but if we jointly together like these type of activities, then we can produce important chemicals and important things which are betterment for Pakistan. Thank you.